Welcome back to our study in Colossians. We're in chapter 2, and we've been going verse by verse. We've been learning who Jesus is and how to apply a great relationship with him in the way we live each and every day. Paul wrote this letter to the church at Colossae to inform them of Jesus Christ in a very deep and a very rich theological way. And of course, that's meant for us now too. And so as we read it, we can learn from it. Each time we break a new verse out, we get a little nugget of something very good in our relationship with Jesus Christ. Let's pick up in verse 18. Take care that no one keeps defrauding you of your prize by delighting in humility and the worship of angels, taking his stand on visions he has seen, inflated without cause by his fleshly mind. Whenever Paul writes to one of these churches in the New Testament, there's always a warning, and it's usually and typically because someone has crept into the church and either manipulated people or taught a false gospel or simply just didn't know what they were talking about and leading people basically into a benign, useless relationship with themselves, the church, or maybe even one that is ineffective with Jesus Christ. And he talks about this person here who kind of acts in a false humility, shall we say. And they have, quote, visions. And when anybody has a vision, it tends to make them look more spiritual than the others around them. But this person has visions, and apparently there's this issue of angels. And angels, as we know, are the servants of God. They are not to be worshiped. They are not to be adored. They do the work of God. And God has basically three sets of angels, or three camps of angels, shall we say. One are the messenger angels, and one are the militant angels, and one are the worshiping angels. And we are not to worship angels. And there are some churches that put a high emphasis on angelic beings. Very simply, they are gods. And they are there to help us, but we are not to worship them because they are from God and they are not God. Or shall we say, they have no deity in their reference. Okay? So this is what this person has been doing. And in the sense of the visions, they are interpreting them by their flesh, by the mind, by the tangibles. And that is not the way we interpret visions. If we look at the scriptural definition of visions, they are always physical pictures of spiritual realities. They are never physical pictures of physical realities. And the only time you see anything close to that is occasionally in a dream in the Old Testament. And so we must be very careful how we look at visions and dreams. Apparently this person had come into the church at Colossae and caused problems. And he's saying, be careful. Don't let them defraud you. And when we use the word defraud, give you a false sense of security, give you a false sense of knowledge of that which is spiritual when they're actually interpreting something that may or may not have occurred by their fleshly mind. This is very common in our culture because we live on our emotions and what we can see, feel, touch, smell, taste, our senses, the physical and the tangibles. Most Christians live on those exclusively and very little on the Holy Spirit's influence, guidance, and empowerment of their life. And this is where the problem comes in, and this is where people rise up in the church and try to make themselves look good, sometimes unknowingly, but still isn't right. And so we look at this, we see this, and we see Paul giving this special warning, and we're going to pick up there and finish this out, this little segment out in our next session.